Adrien Brody is not a good person. Let me explain. So, I think it's safe to assume that most people saw the 2025 Academy Awards show, or at least the bad parts of it, of which there are many.
Acceptance speech goes too long.
Which is the allotted time, Adrien Brody, 45 seconds.
We'll cut to John Lithgow in the audience looking not angry, but slightly disappointed.
But I will be brief. I will not be egregious, I promise.
Carla Sofia Gaston is here tonight. Carla, if you are going to tweet about the Oscars, remember, my name is Jimmy Kimmel.
And I'm actually being played by Bill Skarsgård right now.
Please, I'm wrapping up. I will wrap up. Please turn the music off. I've done this before. Thank you.
But in today's video, I specifically want to focus on Adrien Brody and his many overlooked controversies, which makes his Oscar win feel questionable at best and downright undeserved at worst. Now, if that montage from the 2025 Oscar Awards made you feel icky about his somewhat questionable Oscar win, this was only the tip of the metaphorical iceberg of controversies surrounding Adrien Brody. Now, let's go back to 2003, when Adrien Brody won his first Oscar award for his role in The Pianist.
Adrien Brody.
Thank you, really.
On the surface, this win seemed genuinely earned, especially considering the fact that he's still the youngest actor to ever receive an Oscar at the age of 29. Which brings us to Adrien Brody's first controversy, the infamous Oscars kiss. At the time, this move wasn't seen as controversial at all. However, after the event, many people realized how strange the encounter was, considering Halle Berry was presenting at the Academy Awards, and they previously had no relations to each other whatsoever, with some calling this move an act of sexual harassment, considering she did not consent to the kiss. Though it is also worth noting that during the 2025 Oscar Awards season, Halle Berry got her so-called revenge and kissed Adrien Brody in front of his wife with little to no warning or consent from either party, though, as the saying goes, two wrongs don't make it right. Now, we can't talk about Adrien Brody without discussing his association with the now infamous director Roman Polanski, which is where the real controversy comes into play. Firstly, if you don't know, Roman Polanski is a French director known for making hit films such as Chinatown, Rosemary Baby, and of course the critically acclaimed film The Pianist. He had a rough upbringing, having endured the torture of World War II and the Holocaust, and even after all of that, he's still somehow kicking at the ripe age of 91 years old.
I was going to foot him.
However, the main issue stems from the fact that Roman Polanski is a convicted pedophile and rapist.
Newspapers and the magazines and the books talk about you and little girls. Is there anything in it?
Well, I like young women, let's put it this way. And I think most of men do, actually.
Having raped a 13-year-old girl back in the 1970s, with the event later being reported and tried. I guess he really can run for president of the United States. Although Roman Polanski did objectively have a hard childhood, a crime is still a crime, and having a hard life doesn't excuse immoral actions. He would later be blacklisted from Hollywood and the United States after the allegations and evidence came to light. And to add more fuel to the fire, multiple actresses have since come out on their own horrible experiences with Roman Polanski, claiming he abused them as well. However, not much has come from these allegations. What does all of this have to do with Adrien Brody, you may be asking? Well, you see, Adrien Brody got his big break from starring in The Pianist, saying that Roman Polanski is still a good person at heart, stating, "I think there's a lot of catastrophe in this world, and a lot of cruelty, and a lot of carelessness. Of course, it's horrible what comes out sometimes, and people have done things in their life that may be inexcusable, but it's not something to focus on." In 2010, Brody and many other notable actors and actresses openly signed a petition defending Roman Polanski on behalf of sympathy votes.
Roman Polanski is not a predator.
Roman Polanski, I'm very sorry that he's in jail.
I don't believe this right. I mean, not at 13. Not for these 13-year-old party girls.
I know it wasn't rape.
There were other, I think, very specific things that were going on that people didn't know about at the time. It was so sensationalized. Not only was he this famous director, but his wife had been killed by Manson. And, it was just fodder for so much runaway gossip and heated debate and propaganda.
With all that being said, remaining buddies with a convicted felon is not the best publicity stunt to advocate for. And the last and final controversy I want to discuss in today's video comes from this year's Academy Awards. From Adrien Brody disrespecting his wife multiple times to insisting on preaching an overly egotistical speech, not to mention that Adrien Brody continues to defend the brutalist, which utilizes AI in an industry that has actively been trying to combat this exact type of content. And secondly, a man who refuses to fully acknowledge the crimes of his colleagues simply because of good old nepotism. He would not have had the opportunities that he's had if he hadn't worked worked with convicted felons, which is exactly why he and many others continue to support and defend directors like Roman Polanski, simply because, as long as it benefits them, why should they care? Actors are public figures and influencers. They're people that the general public looks up to and trusts. This has now become a matter of separating the art from the artist. Just because you can make good art doesn't mean it's morally just nor worth understanding, or more importantly, worth defending.
I've been a Scientologist for over 30 years, and without it, I wouldn't be where I am.
There's a lot of things that I love about Hitler.
What's one misconception about you?
There are no misconceptions about me.
You can hope that people change and move forward, but the reality of the situation is that most people are too lazy to fully commit to changing for the better. It all links back to my original point. Adrien Brody is just not a very good person.